Shabbat Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushua Ba'Hashem, Kol Kordash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us His truth. Shabbat Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity. The brother Yahshua back with another lesson. And this is just a quick third woe update because we're going to stay on that war footing. All right, so this is Jeremiah 49 and 20, yeah? Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, because this whole war is about the downfall of the nation of Edom, right? And you other heathens too, but specifically this guy and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, surely shall make their habitations desolate with them. The least of the flock is referring to Amalek. The least of the flock of who? The Edomites. All right, so let's see what this devil is up to. All right. We'll go to Secret Files 333. We'll start right here, 4 hours ago. It's minute and 26, minute and 22. We'll look at these two. We'll look at one more. We got a couple of
wood-fired pizza and 60.
And we'll go ahead and close it out. All right, let's see this. All right, now everybody knows what's going on at this time. Everybody knows about the attack, but what we're going to do is we're going to continue as we have been to monitor the situation and keep you updated on everything that's going on. Okay? Because the last time we seen missiles launched on Tel Aviv was when Saddam Hussein was doing it in the early 90s. All right? During the Gulf War. The first Gulf War. Right? Kuwait, if you will. If you remember that. Can you remember that? All right. All right, here we go.
Tel Aviv targeted with new Hamas rocket fire. Hamas militants have launched fresh rocket attacks towards Tel Aviv after Israeli airstrikes hit targets in Gaza. Meanwhile, the ICC fear war crimes may have taken place. Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz said attacks on Palestinian militant groups in Gaza would continue until they bring total, long-term quiet, and that such military action would preclude any ceasefire agreement. The army will continue to attack to bring a total, long-term quiet, he said. There is no end date, and we will not receive moral sermons from any organization on our right to protect the citizens of Israel. Only when we reach that goal will we be able to speak about a truce. There appears to be no imminent end to the violence, as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that militants would pay a very heavy price for their actions. We are at the height of a weighty campaign, Netanyahu said in televised remarks alongside his defense minister and military chief. Hamas and Islamic Jihad paid, and will pay a very heavy price for their belligerence. Their blood is forfeit. Netanyahu's words come as the UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East peace process, Tor Wensland, warned of a possible full-scale war if there isn't an immediate cessation of the violence.
Full-scale war is here. All right? We have passed the Rubicon. Rubicon meaning point of no return. All right? This next one is called Israeli Iron Dome filmed intercepting rockets from Gaza. All right? Iron Dome is a missile defense system that either is or is not working. Now, wait a minute. This is only Hamas. All right? What happens when Iran proper or anybody in that region starts firing some real missiles over there? All right? You struggling with Hamas? Or are you letting them get a couple of strikes in so that you can go over there and launch a full-scale campaign? You're drawing them in. You're drawing them out. Okay? The least of the flock is drawing them out. Let's watch more. Israeli Iron Dome. Okay? Watch this. May 12th today.
Here's how rockets from Gaza test Israel's Iron Dome. Amid spiraling violence sparked by clashes in Jerusalem, a familiar sound has returned to southern Israel: the blare of rocket sirens and the explosions of Iron Dome interceptors.
Rocket siren. Hey, guess what? We're at war. All right? Because people aren't going to sit around and watch this. People are going to join sides, and this thing is going to escalate. Again, we have crossed the Rubicon.
While the back and forth of Palestinian rockets being largely disabled by Israel's widely lauded missile defense system and subsequent Israeli airstrikes on Gaza is routine, the current round of conflict is unusually intense. Since violence between Israel and Palestinians began to escalate on...
That's beautiful, ain't it? Here we go. This thing is marching, it's speeding towards its climax. We're close to getting the hell up out of here. We're hastening the day. We love it. All right? Call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shabashim Makakadash.
Day, hundreds of rockets have been fired from the Gaza Strip, killing at least 6 Israelis. On Tuesday, Hamas launched a volley of rockets at Tel Aviv, Israel's largest city, after it said a high-rise building in Gaza was destroyed by an Israeli airstrike. Israeli airstrikes in the Gaza Strip have killed at least 48 people, including 14 children, according to Palestinian officials. With rocket fire and airstrikes continuing, here's what you need to know about the rockets fired from Gaza and the Israeli air defense network intercepting them.
And what you got to do is you got to look at this stuff every day so it doesn't go to the back of your mind. You understand? This is so important that this should be on your frontal lobe all the time. Why? Because the kingdom is knocking at the door. You got to put ye first the kingdom, meaning you got to make it through this war. All right? Many wars are on the horizon right now, and you can see them. Not just rumors of war. This is war, and the rumor is the report, and this is the report. All right, so this is a Deep Journal channel. 14 hours ago, breaking: Israel Air Base is hit by missiles. All right. Slovakia. How do I get that back? All right, we're just going to watch it. It says, salvo, unbelievable rocket attacks. Cities are falling. That means cities where? Cities in Israel? So this isn't a 2-minute video. This one is 11. But see, they go into more detail. So let's listen to what they have to say. All right? Because these reports, these updates are very important. All right? Because if we have crossed the Rubicon, it's not going to get better. It's only going to get progressively worse. All right? So let's check this out.
Should this
Of course, the devil got to try to confuse you. Here we go.
Dear listeners, welcome to the Deep Journal channel. By subscribing to our channel before moving on to our video, you can be instantly informed about the last news and comments. The clashes between Israel and Palestine have intensified. While Israel carried out much more intense airstrikes, Hamas fired a large number of rockets at the same time, surprising Israel, causing massive damage. While violent clashes continued in East Jerusalem, civil war broke out in some cities of Israel. It is also
civil war broke out in some cities of Israel. What does that mean? That means the Egyptians are fighting the Egyptians. Okay? Because some of them don't want that. All right? So they're fighting themselves over there. Satan is fighting Satan. And what happens when Satan fights Satan? All right? His kingdom cannot stand. All right?
reported that Israeli military air bases were hit by rockets. First of all, Israeli warplanes hit the Al Jafara building in Gaza. The building was completely destroyed as a result of the attack. Israeli fighter jets also hit the building belonging to the Ministry of Internal Affairs in Gaza. Hamas is also carrying out a third-wave rocket attack on Tel Aviv. The sky is full of rockets. The power plant in the Israeli Ashkelon region was also hit by Hamas rockets. A big fire broke out in the power plant. Hundreds of missiles were fired from Gaza to Beersheba and Tel Aviv, claiming that Israel was targeting civilian settlements in Gaza once again. Sirens sound in Rehovot, Hadera, Tel Aviv, and Beersheba. In all of Israel's central and south regions, sirens have to stay frequently. Israeli sources are also reporting strong explosion sounds in Tel Aviv.
You see what these gutter rats are doing over there in our land? All right, they done caused a war over there, and our land is just being greatly polluted with another war that shouldn't even be going on right now, because there ain't supposed to be no war if you were the true children of Israel. All right, so we know that that's some bullshit. And now we're in the time of Jacob's trouble and the third woe. All right.
According to Hamas sources, 100 rockets were fired from Gaza to Beersheba and 110 rockets to Tel Aviv in response to Israeli airstrikes. The city of Ra'anana was also hit. The city of Ra'anana is 80 kilometers from Gaza. According to Israel Channel 13, Nevatim Air Base was hit by the Qassam brigades. According to a later report, Hatzarim Air Base was also hit. Rockets fired from Gaza targeted the natural gas complex in Ashkelon, Israel. It was observed that the gas tanks were burning. Some of the comments made in the Israeli media are as follows: Israel has never witnessed such a rocket attack throughout its history.
Wait a minute. Let the weak say I'm strong. All right? And I'm quoting. All right? And paraphrasing. But here, hey, is this it? Is it going to escalate from here? Are the allies going to come in and assist, restock, and keep this thing going?
How thousands of missiles were able to enter Gaza, and how did the Mossad not recognize this? We want to be held accountable. For the first time after 1966, a state of emergency was declared in Israel for security reasons. The Israeli army is shipping tanks to the Gaza border.
So they're over there catching some serious hell. All right? So you see how these reports, these in-depth reports, right, not just mainstream media, they ain't going to say all of this. All right?
Missile strikes from Gaza. In the statement made by the Israeli Prime Ministry office, Prime Minister Netanyahu will hold a session in a short time with the participation of the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Internal Security, the Chief of Police.
Some bullshit. Sloppy.
Police, the head of the National Security Institution, the General Director of the Cabinet, and the Legal Counsel. Expressions were used to deal with the events. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said, Hamas and Islamic Jihad will pay a heavy price. Hamas leader Haniyeh, if Israel wants to increase the tension, we are ready. Said, Israel opened shelters to the public against rocket attacks, and in Tel Aviv, it was announced to the public that they should spend the night in shelters. In the city of Kalansuba in the central district of Israel, the streets are under Arab control and the police have withdrawn. A state of emergency was declared in the city of Lod, Israel, when the events grew. Mayor of Lod, we have completely lost control of the city. There is a civil war between Arabs and Jews in the streets. An Israeli official said in a statement, all Israelis should know, control is lost. Synagogues were burned, hundreds of cars were set on fire.
And that's not a civil war. All right? First of all, or if they're both living in the same land, that's a race war. It's not a civil war. Okay.
War broke out here. Said, Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz ordered all border guards, companies to go to the city of Lod to stop the internal rebellion. Israeli border guards began to take positions in the city of Lod. Prime Minister Netanyahu is also expected to arrive. Palestinians are lowering Israeli flags and hanging Palestinian flags in the square in Haifa. Later, the Palestinian flag was lowered by Israeli protesters in Lod. Palestinian demonstrators attacked a police station in Israel's Tuba Zangariye district. Israeli Lod Mayor Revivo also reacted to the events. Revivo. In 1938, we had to leave our homes, like the Crystal Night, when the Nazis attacked Jewish homes, workplaces and synagogues in Germany. They left us vulnerable, said Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu arrived in the city of Lod, where a state of emergency was declared. Netanyahu said here we witnessed the anarchy created by the rebels. Said. In addition, Netanyahu requested assistance from Egypt for the ceasefire. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu rejected the ceasefire proposed by Egypt yesterday. However, Netanyahu will go from Lod to Tel Aviv to visit the General Staff headquarters. In another attack, Israel targeted a civilian building in Gaza, where members of the press were staying. In the Al-Asawiya region, the moments when an Israeli soldier escaped from Palestinians were shared on social media. Israeli-based social media accounts write that ground operations should be launched against #Gaza. Israel's resorting to a ground operation will turn the matter into a total war.
Woo! You know what it's looking like? It's looking like we have crossed the Rubicon. And the men of the Lord are praying for it. We're hastening the day of the coming of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. That is the mantra for this year. All right, so let's get a couple of precepts. We'll go ahead and close it up, all right? So, hey, that's just a little update. This thing is cracking. People are over there dying. They're shooting back and forth on each other in all places, not just in one place. All right, so let's get 2nd Esdras 15. We'll start at 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right? There we are. All right? This is the civil war that they're talking about. Okay? Let's start right here at 19, because you got Palestinians and so-called Jews living in the same cities. All right? 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right? So you know, hey, if there's a war going on over there, it's not business as usual. All right? So there's going to be a blockade of goods and services and restaurants and food, markets. All right? People are going to be afraid to get out in the street. All right? Let's get some more. Let's go to... let's get Matthew. All right? It's Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And there we are. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrow. That's where we are. Jacob's trouble right there. All right? Let's get one more. Matthew 12. Matthew 12 and what, 12? 26. Story here, 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? All right? And a lot of them Persians are Edomites. All right? Vladimir is an Edomite. All right? Bibi, not a Jew, is an Edomite. That's Satan casting out Satan. All right? So your NWO can't stand. All right? Because here come Yahushua and the angels. All right? So and that's another video. So with that, what we're going to do is hope that the elect were edified. And until the next one, we're going to say Shabbat Shalom.